My name is David Camm. I'm the husband of Kimberly, father Brad, and Jill Camm. I'm not guilty.
David Camm's alibi was he was playing basketball at the family church, which is a little over 3 to 4 minutes from his house.
Dave Camm did not do it. I was with David. I was with him at that gym physically.
There are 11 people that were at that gymnasium that know that I didn't leave the gym. Who saw him? Let me see hands. Who saw him?
It never occurred to me that Dave had done it. The initial response was, what? They think you did it. You were at the ball game.
Someone else committed this crime. And there's evidence of the person who committed this crime. We have the sweatshirt. We have the DNA. We have blood. We have a palm print.
The biggest twist in this case was you got a second party. Now you've got to consider, do you have the wrong guy?
This is what David Camm saw when he got home from his weekly basketball game. About 9:20 p.m., Thursday, September 28, 2000.
We have 3 victims. We have a mother and 2 children.
It was a bloody crime scene that, on closer inspection, would give up some bizarre clues. David Camm's 35-year-old wife, Kim, and 5-year-old daughter, Jill, had been shot in the head, execution style. His 7-year-old son, Brad, had been shot in the chest.
So we're 45, 60.
He was crying through the whole thing. It was just hysterical. Camm's brother, Don, and his sister, Julie, rushed to the house to comfort him.
And we just kind of walked up to him, and we all 3 just hugged. And
It was hard to believe, but 3 days later,
They're in heaven.
36-year-old David Camm, the outwardly grieving husband and father, had been arrested and charged with killing his wife and kids. 48 Hours spoke with Camm back then.
I'm starting to pull my truck in. I get up just to the threshold, and that's when I saw the long stream of blood. I get down in her face, and I'm yelling at her, Camm, Camm, Camm. In her eyes, I could tell she was gone. I had no idea what had happened, and it just hit me. Where are the kids? Where are the kids?
It didn't take long to find Brad and Jill. They were still inside the family SUV.
And I looked in the back, and I looked to the right. That's when I saw Brad. Kind of like he was stretched over the seat. And his little eyes, just barely see his little eyes. And I could see little Jill. She was still sitting there in her seat. And her little head was down in her lap.
David Camm knew who to call that night for help.
They'll come and go to Dave Camm's house now.
Up until 4 months before the murders, he'd been a trooper with the Indiana State Police. So a lot of people were stunned when Camm was charged, just 72 hours after the murders, by prosecutor Stan Faith.
Well, he's an officer. Nobody wants to believe that a father could do that. How can a father do that to his children?
You know, I'm scratching my head going, could Dave have done this? No, I don't think so.
Frank Wren, Kim's father, couldn't believe it either. After all, David Camm was his son-in-law, the father of his grandchildren.
Wasn't the David you knew?
No, it wasn't the David I knew. I didn't know that David.
It's basic police work to look at the surviving spouse as the #1 suspect. But to those who knew Camm, it seemed like a rush to judgment. He is from a large and influential family and had no obvious motive. And there's one more thing. David Camm had what appeared to be an airtight alibi.
David was at the gym. At the time his family was killed, he was at the Georgetown Community Church gym playing basketball.
From day one, David Camm's uncle, Sam Lockhart, has insisted his nephew did not do it, and he says he can prove it.
And how do you know that?
I was with him.
You were playing too?
I was there watching Dave.
10 other people say they can prove it too. They were all at the basketball game that night at this church gym, just a few miles from the Camm house, with David Camm. Was he in the warm-up?
Yeah.
That basketball game would become the most important game of David Camm's life.
Who saw him? Let me see hands. Who saw him? Who would swear
that you saw him during that warm-up time?
We had 10 people. That's all we had. He was one of the original 10 at that point, so he had to play.
The players said Camm sat out the second game that night at approximately 7:30. Around the same time, police believe the murders occurred. But several players said they remember seeing Camm on the sidelines.
So, they say he was sitting out, and every now and then they looked up, and he was there, but they're mistaken.
Is it possible that you just didn't notice that he slipped out for 25, 30 minutes?
No.
Another man at the gym that night, Tom Jolly, says he spoke to Camm on the sidelines.
He was playing basketball when I got there.
What happened?
I've been here for just a very short while, and the game was over, and he come over and started talking to me.
Did you notice anything odd about him?
No, nothing.
So if he did do it,
He ought to got an Academy Award.
if David Camm snuck out of his basketball game here, raced home, killed his family, and raced back without anybody noticing, he's either very clever or very lucky. He didn't have time to do it. To find out, we decided to drive the exact route that prosecutors say he drove that night.
Turn left on Fragott Road. Turn right on Alonzo Smith Road.
Prosecutors say it took David roughly 15 minutes to get home, commit the murders, and get back here to the church. It's taken us roughly 8 minutes just to make the round trip, which means, again, if you were following the prosecution's theory, David had roughly 7 minutes to kill Kim, Brad, and Jill.
I'm not guilty.